Alright guys, so I actually about got done with this wiring harness and realized I should have made a video on it. You'd think with how many videos I've done I'd remember stuff like this, but it still slips my mind. So anyway, this is going to be an overview of wiring basically the AHU out of like a 98 TDI. It's got the metal valve cover, or I should say the steel valve cover versus aluminum like the ALH. But anyway, it is a close enough relative to the ALH that you can wire all the sensors out of it into an ALH ECU, which gives you the benefits of flash tuning and just a little better OBD2 system. So you can just go a lot further with the vehicle. And when you're doing a custom harness like this, if you're gonna get tuning and stuff, it almost ends up being the same amount of money. So I had a customer that was looking at doing that and figured I'd just go over what it takes to do that. So in the background here we've got the old AHU ECU and the wiring mess that comes with it, which is pretty typical for all of them. But anyway, what I did was I took all the sensors, I stripped all the wiring out of that harness all the way back to the ECU so that I'd have the length. You could go ahead and wire this with all new wiring, but this has just worked well. All the wiring is in good condition, so I didn't see a problem with that. And so if you're familiar with an ALH ECU, there's a lot of square plugs here for a lot of the sensors. I've got them all labeled here, but basically you've still got your same crank sensor, your same needle lift sensor, and probably one of the biggest differences is that the injection pump runs on two sets of plugs. But what's interesting is it follows the same sequence. The plug that's pretty close to what the ALH one would look like is 1 through 7, and then the 10 prong ALH plug, the 8, 9, 10 off of that goes right over to this other 3-wire plug like the crank sensor. So I got, like I say, I traced all that out. The coolant sensor is square, but again, almost all these wire colors are either really close to the same or actually identical. There's just a few of them that kind of threw me off at first, but once I had that figured out, it was pretty easy. So this is basically where I cut, get the shadow out of there, this is where I cut all the wires off of the AHU ECU, and then I just basically converted them to the ALH. Like I say, a lot of these, I mean, I'm basically doing, here you can see the purple black or violet black goes to the violet black, the brown black goes to the brown black, and then things like here, like the black white that's common for my ALH harnesses, on this AHU it's a white black instead. I don't know why they reversed it like that for whatever reason, but they did. And then you'll see my normal power system here that I use on the ALH ECU. I don't know how detailed I want to get on that. You can go back to my ALH wiring for most of it, but basically there's one power that's spliced down to, like, let's see, there's two things on the injection pump that need power, and the N75 needs power, and so those splice down to there, and then you've got 4 wires here on the ALH ECU that need power, and those are all coming together there, and that all kicks on with this relay, which is fed off of a key wire, and that powers everything up. And then I don't have the OBD port yet, but there'll be the 3 wires here to the OBD port and then the power will be on a fuse there. But that's pretty much the basic stuff. Probably the biggest differences with this harness versus what you typically see with that AHU, it still had an N75 valve, but it ran different. It ran a wastegate, like an actual wastegate, not vanes on a VNT 15. So you would need some custom tuning in this the ALH ECU, but we opted to just convert this to the full ALH setup, and so I did go ahead and wire in the regular N75 valve for the ALH, and we are going to run a VNT 15 off of that. So really that's the only thing I had to add was the N75 valve and your normal standard swap tuning for the ALH ECU. And oh yeah, and sorry, the other thing is the map sensor. The AHU had a very interesting setup for getting map readings, but I went ahead and just got a new plug for a map sensor off an ALH, and that is what we were running. So that wired directly into the ALH ECU. Sure is a lot of traffic here. Anyway, that's really about it. Again, I've got my normal power wiring, which is just one main power goes to the battery that goes through this 87 or a 53 relay, and the key wire here, when the key is triggered on, that activates this, which sends power to the ECUs and out to the ECU and out to all the sensors. And that's really all the ALH needs to work properly. Obviously it needs the immobilizer disabled and custom tuning, but this AHU tuning and everything is getting very hard to come by. Tuners really don't want to mess with them now. It's a lot more hands-on work, and dealing with the chips and stuff inside the ECU, it's just becoming kind of a thing of the past. So updating to this newer setup is going to be better in the long run, as far as I can see. It just depends. I suppose if you wanted just a simple stock AHU, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but this wiring is going to open the door for whatever tuning you could want to do on this swap. So I think that pretty much covers it. Like I say, I really just reused most of the existing AHU wiring. I just had to pull it out of the harness, which is always a nasty mess. But once you get it all taped up, it's pretty much like new again. And then getting the power system set up. So that's probably going to do it for this video. I'm going to test it. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to make some jumpers to run just a regular ALH, being I don't have an AHU engine, but I can at least test that all the wires are going to the right place. I'll go ahead and do that, but not in this video, and we'll see if I get any feedback on this thing running. Maybe I'll make another video just going over how it works with the AHU, but this is how you would set it up. So thanks for watching.